I'd found two injured, perverted little snakes, and they would not stop trying to crawl down the collar of my shirt. I held one in each hand, scolding them, when glowing text suddenly flashed in front of me. Wait, those are the future male lead and the deranged villain. How dare that extra scold them like that? She used to torment them when they were young. She's basically the reason they turned evil. This coincidental encounter was planned by both to take revenge. They've just exhausted their power fighting. Once they recover, they'll use their real forms, endless coils of it, to crush her and devour her. Excuse me, what? I've never bullied a snake in my life. Yet, right on cue, the two snakes wound tighter around my wrists and bared their tiny fangs at me. I'd found them on my walk home, squabbling beside the path. One was glossy black like ink, the other pure white. Barely a foot long, delicate yet fierce, they clashed with a ferocity that didn't fit their size. Their bodies were a tangle of scales and fury, each bearing tiny cuts from the fight. The white one suddenly flipped over and pinned the darker snake beneath it, rearing its head, ready to strike. But before it did, it caught sight of me and froze. I blinked. Did I scare it? In that instant, the black snake twisted free and bit the white one's side, flipping their positions. The white snake didn't fight back this time. It went limp, pink eyes fixed on me. My chest tightened a little. I clapped my hands and called out, "Hey, stop that." Shockingly, the black snake actually stopped. The white one lay still, belly up, its wounds visible against pale scales. The black one stared between me and its fallen opponent, body trembling with strange energy, tongue flicking so fast it blurred. It looked like it was trying to speak. When I didn't move, it gave up, flopped onto the grass beside the white one, and went perfectly still. I sighed. "I'll take that as a truce," I muttered and walked away. But when I reached my front door, rummaging for my keys, I looked down and froze. They'd followed me. Both snakes met my gaze and promptly went limp, collapsing onto the welcome mat. The audacity. It was the most dramatic fake fainting I'd ever seen. "You two want to come in?" Both tails began wagging. I frowned. "You might have parasites, you know? And I'm pretty sure keeping random wildlife isn't allowed." The white one drooped in disappointment, tongue flicking weakly. The black one, on the other hand, started spinning in circles as if to prove how clean and civilized it was. After some hesitation, I caved. Lacking a terrarium, I settled them in a clear plastic storage bin. To my surprise, they slithered in without protest, like they'd done it before. I snapped a photo, ran it through an image recognition app, and discovered they were likely corn snakes. I ordered some antiseptic spray and basic reptile care supplies online. While waiting for the delivery, I spoke to the bin. "You'll be Ash," I told the black one, "and you'll be Ivory." They blinked at me, utterly still. Snakes weren't exactly known for emotional range, so I didn't expect much. When the package arrived, I opened the antiseptic and said aloud, "Ivory, you first." To my astonishment, the white snake pushed the lid open and slithered forward, rubbing against my hand like a cat. Inside the bin, Ash coiled tightly in a corner, silent and motionless. "Ash," I tried, watching him. He slowly lifted his head. For a moment, I could almost swear there was hope in those small, dark eyes. Ivory nudged my hand insistently, as if urging me to hurry up. "I'll get to him right after you, promise," I said, feeling oddly guilty. I treated Ivory's wounds first, careful and gentle. No parasites, no mites, just bruised scales. Then I switched to Ash, who turned out to be worse off, a deeper wound near his neck hidden by the dark color of his scales. "Oh, poor thing," I murmured, stroking his belly lightly. Ash relaxed with a soft hiss, eyes drifting shut. Behind us, Ivory sulked in his corner, clearly displeased with the attention shift. Wanting to even things out, I scooped Ivory up for his turn. But the moment my fingers brushed him, he squirmed away. "What's wrong, Ivory? Got an attitude now?" I teased, poking him lightly on the head. He curled into a tight little ball, ignoring me completely. Chuckling, I prodded him again. "Hey, don't ignore me." That finally made him react. He uncoiled, rolled onto his back, and exposed his belly. Ash immediately grew restless, slithering back and forth between us, like a jealous guard. When I reached past him, he snapped and bit my finger. It didn't hurt much, just enough to make a point. "Ash, sharing is caring," I sighed, picking him up. That was my mistake. He arched and shot straight toward my collar like a launch spring. "Ash!" I grabbed at him, but too late. He vanished down my shirt. And then Ivory, deciding to join in, darted right after him. Cold scales slid against my skin, making me jolt. I yanked my shirt up to find both snakes wriggling furiously, fighting again. Seriously? Is this why you two got abandoned?
Ash.
Ivory. Stop. At my voice, they froze, jaws half open. I grabbed one in each hand, holding them up by their tails. No more fighting, got it? Next time, you're snake soup. Right after I said it, glowing text boxes blinked into existence again. OMG, that's the brooding male lead and the unstable villain. How dare she scold them? She bullied them as kids. No wonder they turned evil. This meeting was their revenge plan all along. They'll regain their power soon and crush her with their real forms. What on earth? I stared down at the snakes. Sure enough, they began curling around my wrists again, just as the comment said. And this time, they both showed their fangs. Our eyes met. They instantly shut their mouths, pretending innocence. I convinced myself I was just imagining things. Probably the stress from being jobless catching up to me. Shaking off the thought, I posted an online lost and found notice for the snakes. The reptile community was nothing like the ones for cats or dogs. Tiny, quiet, barely active. A few people left comments, but no one reached out for days. Meanwhile, my unwanted guests behaved suspiciously well. They never fought again, though the tension between them was unmistakable. They had this ridiculous rivalry over who got petted first, and I had to keep track to prevent another cold-blooded war. If Ash got the first turn today, Ivory went first tomorrow. It was like mediating between jealous toddlers. But once they stopped fighting, they discovered a new vice. Every single night, they managed to sneak out of their bin and slither into my bed. I'd scolded them 3 times already, yet on the 4th morning, when I woke to find both curled against my skin, I just sighed and gave up. Honestly, I'd gotten used to their cool bodies pressed against me. Friday morning, a cold sensation brushed across my stomach, followed by a light, stinging pressure. Blinking awake, I found both snakes wriggling under my pajama top. The moment they noticed I was awake, they froze, and then doubled down, squirming even faster. Oh no, you don't. I snatched them both up before they could disappear completely under the fabric. We've been over this. No crawling under my clothes. Do you want to end up as snake stew, you little creeps? Ivory hung limp in my hand, feigning innocence, while Ash coiled around my wrist, flicking his tongue against my skin, as if to apologize. I glared at him. Nice try, Romeo. That's not going to work. He went still, hanging in mock despair. And then the text boxes appeared again. LOL, does she really think he's flattering her? He's testing where to strike. Wait, weren't those 2 venomous in the story? She just keeps provoking them, same as she did back then. I bet her death scene will be brutal. My stomach turned to ice. Lifting my pajama top, I spotted faint reddish marks across my abdomen. They hadn't broken the skin, but the intent was clear. Those 2 had actually tried to bite me. They were trying to kill me. But I've never bullied a snake in my life. Was it the "I'll make you soup" comment? Were they seriously that vindictive? Trying not to panic, I placed them back in their bin, and this time weighed the lid down with 2 thick books. Then I sat on the couch, refreshing my found pets ad on every possible site. If no one claimed them soon, should I just release them? Would that make them angrier? The entire morning passed with me pacing the apartment and imagining my obituary. At last, around 3 in the afternoon, I got a message. Hi, I think those are my snakes. When could I come pick them up? This afternoon works. I'll send you my address. A quick reply came back. Perfect, thank you. An hour later, someone knocked on my door. She was stunning, poised, elegant, in a designer dress, holding a professional snake carrier. The comments burst to life. It's the female lead. Of course she's gorgeous. No wonder the hero and villain both fell for her. Smart move by the side character. She might survive with the heroine here. I don't know, they look too angry to let her live. Hi, I'm Ray, she said warmly. And you must be Paige. Her name really was Ray. My brain short-circuited. The text boxes had been right again. I guided her quickly to the bin, desperate to hand the snakes over before something else happened. They're right here, I said. You can take them. Ray smiled. Thank you for caring for them. She reached for Ash first, but he kept dodging her hand with deliberate precision. After several failed tries, she switched to Ivory. She almost had him, until he shot out of her grip like lightning, straight onto my chest, and vanished down my collar. Ash followed immediately. Ray. Me? They're really mine, I promise. Ray said, fumbling for her phone. I have pictures. She scrolled to show me, and accidentally flashed 2 photos of enormous pythons. One was jet black, the other gleaming white. My stomach flipped. They were unmistakably Ash and Ivory, only colossal. Ray caught my horrified expression and quickly swiped away. Sorry, wrong photos. Too late. I dove my hands under my shirt, terrified they'd sink their fangs into me on the spot. Instead, they calmly coiled around my arms, hissing softly at each other, competing to wrap tighter. They'd done this before. I had foolishly thought it was affection. Open the carrier, I said through gritted teeth. When Ray did, I threw both snakes in one motion. They landed in a heap, looking stunned. I slammed the lid and locked it. Finally, peace. Ash recovered first, thumping his tail against the plastic in outrage. Ivory just lay still, heartbreak written all over his serpentine face. Given his pale color and gentle nature, Ivory had to be the male lead, which made Ash, the dark one with the temper, the villain. Ray picked up the carrier. Thank you so much. Let me take you out to dinner as thanks. I caught the way the two snakes stared at me through the clear walls, their unblinking eyes almost human. I waved my hands quickly. That's really not necessary. Just please don't lose them again. And please, never bring them near me. As she left, I couldn't shake the feeling that their glares had gotten sharper. That night I dreamed. Cool scales brushed across my body, wrapping around me, their weight both suffocating and strangely soothing. My skin burned with heat while their touch cooled it, an intoxicating contrast that made me want to melt into it. When I finally stirred awake, shame washed over me. Dreaming that about snakes? 2 of them? Absolutely mortifying. Clearly, my brain hadn't caught up with the fact they were gone. I sighed, rolled over, and froze. A gigantic, ink-black python lay coiled beside me. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Slowly, I turned my head. On the other side of the bed rested a massive white python. Only a fraction of their bodies fit on the mattress. The rest wound across the floor, thick as tree trunks, filling the room in chaotic loops. Faint bruises and marks covered my body, remnants of being squeezed in my sleep. If anyone walked in, they'd assume a horror scene. So much for a nightmare. I hadn't escaped them. They'd been here all along. The text boxes flickered again. Why did they fade to black last night? I assumed it was too violent to show. Maybe they started fighting again over who got to kill her and wore themselves out. Either way, she's next. The white pythons had lifted, ruby eyes locking on me. I bolted, slamming my bedroom door shut behind me. From inside came furious hissing and the dull, rhythmic thud of heavy bodies against the wood. I got away before they could break the door down. I bolted out so fast I had to leave most of my stuff behind. The snakes never tracked me down after that. My building manager called a day later to say I'd left my door open and the apartment looked abandoned, so I paid him extra to deal with movers and the landlord. 2 months in a different city, I landed a job. Of all the things, I became a clerk at an exotic pet shop. The irony was delicious, but my crash course caring for Ash and Ivory turned out to be unexpectedly handy. The store mainly stocked snakes, with a handful of other unusual animals. Shifts were split, day and evening. One night, after my shift ended and I was tidying up to close, the weird on-screen comments flickered back into view after months of silence. Holy crap, the male lead found her. They're racing to see who captures her first, hero versus villain. They've been waiting to punish her for a decade. I wonder when she'll realize what she did. Me? What had I supposedly done? I did a quick sweep of the empty shop. No tiny white snake. No enormous python. Maybe the comments were broken. Then the glass door chimed. A man pushed inside, wearing a black leather jacket. He was sharply handsome, with neat features and a mouth that curled at the corners as if it belonged to someone used to getting what he wanted. Dark skin, striking face. If I were into dream men, I would have fainted on the spot. I forced a professional smile. Welcome. We're technically closed, but I can answer quick questions. New stock tomorrow. His first question was flatly, why did you run? Because I wanted to go home, obviously, but customers do not get honest answers. I kept smiling. I didn't run. Please take a look around. I'll help however I can. He cocked his head, eyes sharp, then nodded toward the enclosures. You don't hate snakes? What a weird thing to ask. Would I be working here if I loathed them? Was he some undercover evaluator from corporate? Time to nudge the sale. Not at all. People misunderstand them. They're fascinating once you learn them. I launched my practice spiel about morphs and care tips. Which do you prefer, white or black? He asked, and his gaze became something that felt personal, like a spotlight. My sales instincts jolted into full life. Both are gorgeous. If I had space, I'd have one of each. I started to point out similar morphs we had. He cut me off by grabbing my arm, pulling me back against the counter with a careful but firm hand, protecting me from the edge. It felt intimate. But if you had to choose, he pressed. That was a bit much for a customer, right? Also, why was he pressing so close? The comments popped up, laughing at me again. She still doesn't see it's the male lead. She's too busy selling reptiles. Male lead. Would you die by me or by the villain? Side character. Both, pleased. Suddenly, everything clicked. This was him, Ivory in human form. My mind flashed back to the two massive pythons in Ray's photos. Panic skittered through me like quicksilver. Ah. So you recognize me now, he said, the smirk widening. Have you decided? His pupils darkened until his irises disappeared. His tongue flicked out, and I saw the split tip. He was shifting, ready to strike. He was about to kill me. I had to stall. I clapped a hand over his mouth and whispered, "There are cameras. Do that, and you'll end up viral. Let's step outside and talk, let me think on it." His eyes softened, and for a heartbeat he nuzzled my palm, the same tiny motion the white snake used to do. "Okay," he murmured. I pretended to tidy up while my brain scrambled for an escape route. He leaned against the door, watching. "Ready," I called, edging toward the exit. I fumbled the key deliberately, pretending to struggle. "Could you hold this? The light is awful." He took the key, turned his back, and that was my cue. I bolted. He finished locking the door and realized I was gone, then took off after me. He had long legs and closed the distance fast. I ran until I reached the main road, panting, when a car braked and the driver called out. I dove into the open passenger seat. "Go, driver, go," I hissed. The car pulled away and the man who'd chased me faded into the night, at least for a moment. My breathing slowed. The driver's voice was low and smooth. "Where to?" I gave an address and watched the cityscape slide by. But slowly the surroundings became more barren, less like the busy neighborhood I lived in. My stomach dropped. This wasn't the route to my place. I opened my mouth to ask where we were going, and the comments flooded my vision. Amazing escape scene. Side character outsmarts the male lead. Wait, now she's getting into the villain's car. Classic. Villain's car. Which meant the tall man in the driver's seat might not be a helpful Samaritan. A cool pressure curled around my ankle, and I looked down. A pale snake's tail slithered from the driver's seat toward me. "Ash," I whispered, and the word was a mistake. He laughed softly from the front. "So you found me." My life is absurd. I fumbled with the door, but it was locked. I tried to sound reasonable. "Please, I'm sorry. Let me go." "No," he said simply. The car eased to the curb. In a blink, the man who had been sitting calmly in the driver's seat was at my side in the rear. His features were elegant, softer than I expected for someone playing a villain. Under his smooth exterior, though, I sensed a dangerous steadiness. He wasn't called Ash, not really. The name in the running commentary was different, but for my head, I still used Ash. His snake tail coiled about me. I shrank back into the seat. If a man that handsome wanted me for affection, life would be winning. Except he wanted me because he planned to kill me. Unless, he said with a tilt of his mouth that somehow felt flirtatious, "You let me go first." I laughed inwardly. Apparently being fought over by hero and villain for the privilege of killing you counts as popularity. "Well, sure, you can go first," I managed, forcing a bright tone. "But could you loosen up a bit? It's getting uncomfortable." He uncoiled a little, pleased. "You said it." I tried to play for more time. "Why don't we go to your place? There's no room here to, really properly." He made a motion to go to the front seat. I slipped my hand into his pocket and snatched the car keys. I clicked them and flung the door open, starting to vault out. Before my shoe hit the ground, his tail whipped around my waist and yanked me back inside. "So disobedient," he said, eyes narrowing. "We'll finish this now, before another escape." He leaned in at my neck and bared long, fine fangs. I struggled, but the tail held me just firm enough to stop me moving. A sharp pinch as the fangs pierced my skin. Darkness eased at the edges of my vision. If this was the end, at least it was quick, and it did not hurt. Turns out I didn't die. But I did spend the entire night burning up with fever. When I finally came to, I was lying against Ash's bare chest, my hands wandering over his abs like I'd been bewitched. I jerked upright. You were the one holding on to me," he said, looking perfectly innocent. "Don't blame me for that." Bits and pieces of last night flashed back. After he bit me, my body went up in flames. I'd clung to his cool tail like it was my lifeline, refusing to let go. When we reached his villa, he'd had to carry me inside because I wouldn't release him. And apparently somewhere along the way I'd gotten a little handsy. Was that my body's idea of going out with a bang?
Wait.
If I wasn't dead, did that mean it was a slow-acting poison? The comments popped up, echoing my thoughts. Didn't the villain bite her? Why is she fine? Maybe it's a delayed toxin. Instant death is too boring for him. While I was processing that, the door flew open with a loud crash. The other one, the hero, stood in the doorway, fury radiating off him. What the hell is wrong with you? He shouted at Ash. Paige agreed. It was my turn first, Ash replied smoothly, then glanced my way with a disarming smile. Isn't that right, Paige? For one fleeting second, I saw him as the little white snake again, the one who used to look at me with such pitiful eyes. Who would have guessed he'd turn out to be the villain? I laughed weakly. Haha, yeah, just a coincidence. When your life's at stake, you agree to anything. The air in the room was so tense it could snap. I was finally beginning to see why these two were always at each other's throats. I calculated my odds. If they fought, could I slip out? Before I could test it, the hero let out a tight sigh.
Fine.
For Paige's sake, I'll let it slide this time. Excuse me? I had sake with these people now. He came to sit beside me, his hand brushing my neck, thumb tracing my skin. But I get the next turn.
Great.
2 different venoms. Maybe I'd at least die in an interesting way. Not now, Ash said, voice cool and steady. Don't think I won't fight you just because she's here, Nick warned. If someone walked in right now, they'd think this was some twisted romance scene. Then Ash's calm words shattered that illusion. The interval's too short. Her body won't survive it. I suddenly pictured 2 cats batting around one poor mouse, just waiting to see which one it would run to before finishing the job. These 2 were lunatics. Nick finally looked away from my neck, grumbling.
Fine.
Then she stays with me tonight.
No.
What do you mean, no? You already had her all night. That's your fault. In the end, I somehow ended up in the guest room with Nick. But before midnight, Ash had quietly slipped in, too. The bed was small, and I spent the night squashed between them like a human pancake. Apparently, they had no plans to take turns. So yeah, I was a prisoner now.
Probably.
I tried escaping through the bathroom window.
Failed.
Tried sneaking out while they argued.
Failed.
Tried hiding in the attic and faking my own disappearance. Caught again. Eventually, I had to call my boss at the pet store and request an indefinite leave. Meanwhile, these 2 seemed to have no jobs whatsoever. They spent every day arguing over who got to cook for me, turning every meal into a potential battleground. I prayed they'd tire themselves out and revert to snake form, but no such luck. After several near brawls, they decided to alternate cooking days. Sleeping arrangements, however, were non-negotiable. No matter which bed I started in, I always woke up pinned between both of them. One day each became one side each. Even the comments didn't know what to make of it. Are they fattening her up before killing her, or is this a domestic sitcom now? If I didn't know they were psychos, I'd swear this was their honeymoon. I was starting to agree, until one afternoon after lunch. I went to the fridge for a drink and overheard their conversation in the kitchen. It's been long enough, Nick said, voice strained. I can't wait anymore. Every time I see her neck. The day after tomorrow, Ash interrupted calmly. At night. I looked down at my stomach, which had definitely gotten softer from all the home-cooked meals.
Yep.
They were fattening me up before the feast. Waiting to die wasn't an option. From my many failed escape attempts, I'd learned one thing. Ash was far more dangerous than Nick. Nick was impulsive, emotional. Ash planned 3 steps ahead. So that evening, while Ash cooked dinner, I quietly pulled Nick aside. Nick, I whispered, I've made my choice. It's you. His eyes widened. Really? Keep your voice down. I pressed a finger to my lips, then gestured toward my neck. Get Ash out of the house tonight. He frowned. But you're? I'm ready, I interrupted. If we don't act now, Ash will just keep delaying. He's doing it on purpose. He still looked uncertain. Listen, I said, pushing on. I'll fake a stomachache. You back me up. He'll have to leave to buy medicine. Nick hesitated, then nodded. All right. Just then, Ash stepped out of the kitchen, eyes sharp and assessing. What are you 2 whispering about? Dinner's ready. I smiled brightly. Coming. Nick grinned through the whole meal, looking absurdly pleased with himself. For someone labeled a tragic male lead, he sure looked smug. When the moment came, I pressed a hand to my stomach. Ugh, I don't feel so good. Ash immediately came over, palm on my forehead. No fever. Maybe you ate too much variety again. We should go to the hospital. I leaned against Nick. No hospital. I hate hospitals. Just get me something for my stomach? Ash frowned. Let's get it checked. I don't want to go, I whined dramatically. Ash sighed. Nick, you go buy the medicine. Why me? It's your turn. What turn? The last time you stayed with her. My turn to stay, so you go. I had no clue what their bizarre turns system meant, but the important part was that Ash finally gave in and left. I shot Nick a confident wink. Step 1. Success. Nick thought we were partners in crime. 10 minutes after Ash left, he swept me off my feet, literally. Wait, hold on. I yelped. He sat me on the couch, eyes gleaming. What, second thoughts? No, of course not. I lied quickly. I just left my phone in the bedroom. Can you grab it? Ash will definitely call to check in. I can handle him. I don't want you getting hurt. That did it. His ego puffed up, and he marched off to find the non-existent phone. As soon as he disappeared, I crept toward the front door. It's not here, he shouted from the bedroom. Check under the sheets. I called back, already twisting the doorknob. But the comments flared across my vision again. Paige, don't do it. You split them perfectly, but the villain's already waiting outside. Do not open that door. Too late. The door swung open. Nick was still calling from the bedroom when the motion sensor light flicked on outside. Ash stood on the steps, expression calm and unreadable, eyes locked on mine. Planning another escape? Ash's tone was calm, almost amused. I froze. Couldn't those internal voices have warned me a few seconds sooner? I forced a shaky laugh. Run away?
Me?
No way. I was just checking to see if you'd made it back already. You're so fast. From behind me, Nick's voice drifted out of the living room. Paige, I can't find. He stopped mid-sentence. In the silence that followed, I could almost hear the gears turning in his head. When he spoke again, his tone had hardened. You lied to me? Oh no. I was toast. Before I could dart away, Ash lifted me like I weighed nothing, slinging me over his shoulder and shutting the door with a soft click. Setting me down, he said evenly, this is exactly why I told you to stay put. You lose your sense every time she's around. Nick's eyes blazed. So, this is my fault now? She played me, Ash. I trusted her. His steps were heavy as he came closer. Why, Paige? Why mess with me like that? You've got no idea how much I've wanted. He leaned in until I could feel his breath against my neck. You should have stayed with me forever, he whispered. A sharp sting bit into my skin. My vision blurred almost instantly.
Well, guess that's it for me.
I woke to the steady rhythm of a heartbeat beneath my ear. Ash's arms were wrapped around me, and Nick sat nearby typing away on a laptop like nothing had happened. So the hero has a day job after all. Wonderful. Wait a second. Why was I still breathing? Ash noticed me stirring. You're awake. How do you feel? Before I could answer, Nick shut the laptop and leaned forward, guilt painting his expression. I'm sorry, Paige. I lost control that night. I didn't mean to scare you. Scare me? They'd practically made a sport out of it. I sighed. Why not just finish me off already? Nick's brows knit together. Kill you? We'd never hurt you. He brushed his thumb over the spot he'd bitten. You belong to us now, that's all. As long as you don't try to run again, you'll be safe. Belong? I echoed.